Hey everybody, welcome. Well, it's Tuesday in the United States, which means we have 7 days before the election, and things are getting a little crazy here. And I know that this is rippling around the world, and so I want to highlight a tool that you can come back to ground yourself amidst all the chaos. And so I'm calling this 7 Days of Sanity, and we're using the tools from my book, Meet Me in the Middle. We're doing a promotion for the next week. It's on sale and it's newly available on Audible. But this book basically helps guide you through conversations, how to stay in your truth, and basically how to stay sane for the next 7 days and beyond. So let's talk about what day one is about. And day one is really grounding yourself with a compass amidst all this chaos. It may feel like there's big storms afoot. You may feel like you want to close all the drapes, keep all the doors closed, and just get through the next 7 days without the chaos. And day one, we're going to talk about values, because that is how you're going to do that. So, what are values? Values are the things that you hold most dear. Elvis Presley said, you basically leave your fingerprints all over everything you do. Values are like fingerprints. It's how we do things. It really helps center us. And sometimes people are like, well, I'm not sure what my values are. I would say, imagine this. Imagine you drove to work one day, the doors are locked, all the lights are off, there's a power outage, who knows, something happened. And so the day is free. All your appointments have been canceled. There's nothing you can do. You've already dropped your kids off at school. You basically have a free day. What do you decide to do with your time? Some people are like, oh, I am getting a mani-pedi, I'm out of here. Some people are like, I'm going to go home, I'm going to make a cup of tea, I'm going to read my book. Other people are going to be like, this is great. I had a whole list of errands I needed to do. I can catch up on this. Other people are like, I'm going to call my hubby and we're going to make it a date. So depending on what comes to mind for you, that is a really good indication of your values. The other clue I use is you put on your winter coat that you haven't worn for 9 months, and you reach in your pocket and you find $50 and you're like, ooh, payday. What do you do with that money? It's accounted for. You didn't really realize you lost it in the first place. What do you spend it on? Do you spend it on a lunch? Do you pay off a bill? Do you buy a gift for somebody? Do you put it in your bank account? Those things, again, they're an indication of your values. So we want to use values as basically the matrix for how we make decisions. And in this chaos, with all of the debate and hostility that's going on, how do you want to behave? What are your personal rules for behavior? And what is it that you want to leave this week or this year or these 4 years having accomplished? Is it, I was always kind, I was a good listener, I gave information to people, I allowed others to be right, my relationship's more important than being right. All of those things can be super helpful. So really thinking about your values and how you want to say that you behaved is important. Lots of us are examples to other people. We have children that look at us. We have colleagues that look at us. And not necessarily that we want to behave in order to please them, but what is it that we want our brand to be in this process? How do we want people to label us based on what they've observed? Okay. So I want to move to this whole idea about the idea of values being a compass for us. Compass that can guide us in terms of what way we want to go. So it might be your faith, it might be your party, it might be your family, think about how you really want to operate and how you want basically things to settle around you based on how you behaved. So one of the things I talk about in the book is the origins of the book. It was like, here comes the election, here comes the pandemic. All of a sudden, people who had been friends for 20 years were not talking to each other. And I was like, what is that about? It's like you disagree on this one thing and you're going to toss out 20 years of history? That doesn't make sense. So do you want to be labeled as someone who doesn't get along with people who vote the other way? Do you want to be labeled as a person who stood firm for your convictions, regardless of consequence? Do you want to be the person who's a peacemaker? How do you want to be thought of? And what are the behaviors that represent that you can live out? So think about that today. So really, if you think back to a time where you were at your very best, you felt your best, what were you doing? Chances are it was aligned with your values. So just like people navigated by the North Star, your values are your own North Star. When you're clear about it, it's easy to make decisions. So if you're not sure whether you want to chew out your neighbor because they have a sign in their yard that's offensive to you, or if you want to be a good example to your kids, let's weigh that. What is the effect of that, 10 hours from now, 10 months from now, 10 years from now? It really does make decision making a lot easier. So homework for today. List your top 3 values and ask this question: what makes me feel alive and authentic? Write those things down and have that be how you're going to operate, at least for the next 7 days, right? Get through this election, get through the chaos. We'll do that. So join us again tomorrow. We're going to have an update for you in terms of the next step in this 7 days of sanity. But truly take 5 minutes to reflect on your values today. This could be a great thing to talk about at dinner tonight instead of having the television on and all those political ads in the background. So I encourage you to do that. If you want to dive into this in more detail, again, the book's going to be on sale for the next week. There's a link here that you can use to get onto Amazon. Meet me in the middle. Okay, join us tomorrow. I'll see you then.